First of all, shout out to my coworker and friend Mila Evans for suggesting I do readings at the cemetery just a few blocks up my street. So at some point, I'm going to be doing readings at the cemetery. It is now befitting at this injunction to include a brief biography concerning her times at Barbarov's castle. A deep and increasingly deepening sense of fear and sadness had took hold of her. She had awoke from a trance in a moving carriage. The interior was lit by a single fireless lamp. Across her was the ominous and austere figure of Count Charlemagne Barbarov, and seated next to him was an excessively hairy man with a wolf-like face. Seated next to Carmilla was a beautiful yet intense woman dressed rather provocatively. "Looks like you're awake," said the woman. The Count only looked at Carmilla. The latter was too petrified to scream or move suddenly, though oddly she felt relieved by the beautiful woman next to her. Charlemagne peered out into the darkness. "Where are you taking me?" she mustered to courage to ask, wrapping her arms around her body, pressing into the far corner of her area of the carriage. "Young lady, I offer you immortality and the privilege to be greater than all humans. In 3 days, you'll be as I." "Who are you? You seem familiar." Carmilla gradually calmed down, realizing that they didn't mention killing her, but on the contrary, she seemed intrigued. But suddenly, she was horrified by the realization of her family. "Please let me go. For 1,000 years I've longed for someone like you," replied Charlemagne. "I don't understand. Who are you?" "I am Count Charlemagne Barbarov. I am Lord of the Vampires and of human mutants as well. They're all subjected to me. No one under the moon and stars is stronger than me. I choose you to share this legacy with me." Tears began to fall down her face. She was thinking about her two younger siblings, of whom would certainly be grieved at her disappearance. "You must not fear me, Carmilla. You'll see your family again, and I can assure you that they will suffer no harm. These two and the driver are my royal guards. This is Nilko. He, as you can see, a beast man, a werewolf to be precise. I'm sure he is the first you've ever seen. And this is Morgana. She isn't a vampire, but something akin. She's a Pythorian, the serpent hybrid race. While you are yet young, I want you to see the reality of this world we live in. I know I may appear a monster to you, a lunatic perhaps, but by our chance meeting and the fact that you're still alive in our presence should reassure you that you won't ever be harmed, and also that humans aren't the original inhabitants and masters, but are ruled by us demigods." Count Barbarov spoke in a cool, deep tone that oddly was rather soothing. Even though he was more than 10,000 years old, he looked about 33. The difference being the tone of his skin was a faint light blue. Carmilla's fear was soon turned towards curiosities. As a child, she only heard the many stories. "How do you know about me?" she asked. "Must it be me you want?" Carmilla also noticed that she was actually attracted to the Count. "I've only seen you twice and confess was driven by my own immortal desire. I saw you by the river. It was merely by chance that I happened to see you. Anything that you want, I can arrange. When might I see my family? Carmilla stuck to basic linear questions. Charlemagne smiled. In a few days. Don't feel helpless. Many died without ever knowing our existence, and I know this moment intrigues you. I can read your mind. You're utterly bored and miserable. The rattling carriage slowed to a stop within a forested, dark area. My lord, I sense the presence of a small garrison of men. We'll take care of them quickly. The driver, whom remained unknown to Carmilla, called out. Charlemagne smirked and reclined himself. Nilko grinned, showing his wolf-like teeth. What do you need for... They're only men, Morgiana remarked. Besides, this is a new dress. The threat is imaginary. It is true, but don't you want a part in slaying 50 men? Charlemagne looked at Morgiana and the smirk became more pronounced. Turning to Carmilla, he said, I'll demonstrate to you why you're better off with me, especially during these perilous times in the year of our Lord, 886. And he made the sign of the cross over himself. His face was confident, relaxed, and victorious looking. These so-called vampire hunters have been tracking me for a week now, and I've led them specifically here. Carmilla, do you realize what I'm trying to explain? Yes, it's quite obvious you're one of the original survivors of the Great Flood. You're half angel and human, but that's utterly incredible. The stories were true. The sounds of an arrow crashed outside the carriage. There were screams of terror bellowing beyond in the darkness, accompanied by the sound of parried sword strikes, expletives, and the sound of bloodshed. The cries were awful. Carmilla wanted to look out the window, but dared not. It seemed they were flanked and surrounded, allowing a few arrows to crash on all sides. Morgiana, said Charlemagne, beckoning to her with his eyes. As you wish, my lord. At that moment, Morgiana turned towards Carmilla and, smiling, exited the carriage, too swiftly for her eyes to properly register. Excuse me. She was left aghast. The door was shut. Morgiana went to join the fray. I'm going to go take a sip of water real quick. A new sense of intrigue mingled with fear and curiosity seized her, but more so of the reality of a race she had never encountered, though she heard the stories and read them for herself. Also, Carmilla found herself drawn towards the Count. Though being 10,000 years old, he had an unearthly beauty, and she realized that she was enamored with him, and falling silent, looked through the window, though it was dark and forested. Suddenly, it began to rain. Charlemagne, too, was silent. After a full minute or so, as the battle around began to simmer and less scampering and cries could be heard, Carmilla said, My father has probably sent men looking for me. Will you kill them as well? On my honor, I will spare them. However, you must realize that several orders want me dead. Rival vampires, mercenaries, vampire hunters. I can't spare everyone. These are simply the tragedies as a result of the war in heaven. But where is heaven? She asked. It's not in the sky. Knowledge itself is heaven, having absolute power to create and destroy. Everything is here on earth. Everything. You wish to make me immortal? Is that what you want? Yes. Come close to me. Her eyes went wide with excitement. Needless did she know that any human in close proximity of a vampire lord would subconsciously submit to the mental resonance of it. The process takes an hour or so. Carmilla leaned on Charlemagne, put her hand on his chest, and kissed him. The latter smiled, accepting the kiss, but he drew her head back gently. Carmilla saw his prominent fangs. She removed the blonde locks of hair obstructing her face and tilted her head back for Count Charlemagne to plunge his fangs into her jugular veins. Mary the Nun. Carmilla, were you listening or daydreaming again? Did you even hear my brilliant plan? Mary said, waving her hand in Carmilla's face. Did I doze off again? I apologize. What were you saying? I'm going to infiltrate the church in the guise of a nun in the hopes of ascertaining information pertaining to vampire hunting. And how would you suppress your need to feed in a convent? I have that all figured out, but more importantly, knowing the tactical imperatives of the church is vital if we are to know who they're targeting, and I'm certain I'll find out everything. And if Barney proves to be Mariana's killer, would you still do this? Of course. We'll certainly get to the bottom of her death, though I believe it would be better if it were a monk working in my behalf. Well, isn't that the work of your new recruits? Lisette interjected and proceeded to walk to the window sofa where Clarissa had lounged earlier. I'll invite them tomorrow, perhaps. And Mary, you can deploy your scheme with their aid. Tell us, how will you feed while in the city? Basically, how can you avoid a fate similar to Mariana's? She lived as an artisan of fashionery while blood running. Perhaps it's my fault she's dead. Don't blame yourself, Carmilla. Merely avenge her, imputed Clarissa, joining Lisette and cuddled up in her arms. You're absolutely right. Though Mariana was a crucial member of my family and my protege, her death has propelled my will to start an army and cease procrastinating. Her face became stern, and she took to frowning at the fire, the flickering lights and shadows animating her face. It's now 1 o'clock. Do you think your pets have encountered Barney yet? Actually, while it is still night, permit me to return to the city. Either way, he is in violation of your banishing edict. Carmilla's face lit up. Yes, at your convenience, considering we were just there, but Barney is definitely not part of the plan, and our world doesn't need rogue vampires. Also, I don't fear any retaliation from any of the other vampire lords whatsoever. But Mary, do be careful, and do tell me how you will feed. Water. At night, when I'm alone in my cell, I'll simply fly here to feed on those you have in the dungeon, and please keep that Duchess alive for at least a month more, if that's possible. And a faint, wicked laugh proceeded from her beautiful mouth. Will you vow chastity then? Clarissa asked, while Lisette fondled through her hair. Hell no, Mary started laughing. But seriously though, what do you think of my plan? I'm sure you'll put your diplomatic talents in good use of your espionage scheme. Who knows, maybe you become Saint Mary of Styria. And Carmilla chuckled, her sharp teeth glimmering in the dancing firelight. But seriously, dear, do be careful. I know how much you love Mariana as a little sister, even though she isn't a noble. Actually, Carmilla, there are a few low-level vampires that I do admire in my territory, and we're on good terms, and of course, they pay me tribute. Unlike you, Carmilla, all your rivals are dead, save Barney. But Lisette will take care of that, won't you? Mary added, turning her head towards the two. The two had indulged themselves in cuddling. Yes, fate has already decided that, but if you encounter any Knight Templars or any Tartarian branch, do not engage them. I made that mistake 17 years ago in Romania. At best, if you do insist on fighting, just know you have to fight an army. Who said anything about fighting? All I'm doing is listening and observing. Granted, I could use some javelin practice. Mary paused thoughtfully and briefly. Say, will you spar with me tomorrow? To be honest, I haven't been in an altercation in quite some time. I dare say I've actually created a utopia in my principality. Everyone loves me. No one suspects that every month 3 people go missing. So I've encountered no real resistance and intend to keep it that way. That's why I haven't been training. Firenze is quite placid. The next invite is on me. Just let me know. I'll refine your fighting spirit, Saint Mary of Firenze. Both Lisette and Clarissa chuckled. Indeed, our lives are radically different than yours, Mary. We encounter corpse and bloodshed every day due to the Turk invasions in Romania and Georgia. I personally have to hunt, which keeps my fighting spirit sharp. However, Lisette continued, I want to familiarize you with the Nodachi. It's a Japanese longsword. I feel that it would suit you well. Did you bring that particular sword? She asked. Yes, but I'll show you in the morning. We should get some rest, I suppose. Both Lisette and Clarissa quit their lounging. Well, good night, sisters. We'll convene in the morning, yeah? The travel must have made you tired. I'm going for a walk, replied Mary. Carmilla, you're retiring too? No, I'm going to sit here for a while and then send my invites to the young men from earlier. I figure I'll invite them to appear afternoon or whenever. Galileo has a relative who is presiding priest. You can talk to him. Perhaps, but we'll convene in the morning. Good night, sisters. And she claps their hands daringly. Lisette and Clarissa departed together. Carmilla and Mary were alone. Before I go for my walk, I want to catch up with you. It seems like I haven't seen you in ages, and your face is still remarkably smooth for being 800 years old. I know a vampire who is half your age, but looks twice your age. He is also of the corrupted blood lineage of the dragon, and so there you have it. But you're still a remarkable beauty. You're so very flattering, but I'm sure you're always turning heads. I'm sure, or else are tearing them off. Which is it? Mary smirked daintily. Come now, Carmilla. I live in Firenze. Unlike Lisette, who's unfortunate to live in crusade-infested Romania, with all the killing she does, one wouldn't suspect she's a princess, Carmilla replied. So tell me, how is Firenze? I know it hasn't been the same since the great Dante Alighieri was exiled. Because of Dante in part, we now have a reawakening of art, science, politics, and philosophy. It's so commonplace now, it's virtually unnoticed. Everyone is equally great and competitive. But as you know, I have been providing security for the Medici and their regional transports between several kingdoms. I also guide the tides of war and diplomacy, as you know. So ultimately, I'm doing quite well. I'm feared and respected by other vampires. Periodically, we convene to discuss the redistribution of hunting grounds and the number of humans. I feel it's diplomatic. Unlike you, Carmilla, it's just you and Barney. And Mary chuckled. No, there are three other nobles, but they've suffered. We have our terms and I don't require tribute from them. Now I see why you're anxious. You are now all alone in this castle. Mary frowned. I swear, I'll cut down anyone who tries to harm you. You are my sister.